I want to go over some advancements on Bosch's new 18-volt tool line. So some special entries, including the 23 gauge pin nailer and their new hammer drill. I also have some that have been around and I've been using them this year, so we'll go over those as well. But stick around to the end. I want to cover a glaring omission from Bosch's current 18-volt line. So these are the two that I want to give kind of a detailed look at. The hammer drill driver, which is just a great everyday shop drill as well. But let's start with one of their newest offerings, this 23 gauge pin nailer. And with this class of tools, the question is always, can it sink the fastener flush or a little deeper than flush to the surface? And if not, is there anything you can do to change that? Like other high-end nail guns, this one actually has an adjustment for the depth of drive. It's actually tool-free on this model, so just scroll that down for an increased depth of drive, and that's your first adjustment to make. But there's also a secondary way that you can get your fasteners to drive a little bit deeper if you happen to be working with particularly dense material. And that just has to do with which of these non-marring tips you select. One is a little bit larger, and I actually prefer to use this smaller one for two reasons. Number one, it actually helps you get a deeper drive because it's just smaller, but it's also not in your sight line, so it helps to really accurately place those fasteners. Or for the deepest possible drive, just run your gun without that non-marring tip, and that works well if you're working with MDF or hardwoods. With this new breed of cordless tools, I tell you what, pop those batteries off if you're making any adjustments to them. They're more powerful than you think. Like I say, most of the time I'm using that low profile anti-marring tip, and I do like the fact that the second one actually has onboard storage, so you're not going to misplace that. Nice. We'll try this out so I can show you how it works, but this one is a GNH 18V-35, and with all these tools we're looking at today, I'll have links down in the description if you want to check them out. This one even has an LED light that comes on when you depress that nose piece and set your depth of drive the way you like it. And what I really noticed is there's no spool up or wind up on this. You can just keep working, there's no delay. I like that. It uses pretty standard 23 gauge headless pins. They don't have to be Bosch brand or anything. And this one actually has an anti-dry fire lockout as well, so you won't be able to shoot those last 4 pins just to prevent damage to your trim work when there's no fastener to drive. So this is a great add-on to Bosch's 18-volt line. I actually love this little pin nailer. It's lightweight too. Next we're going to go over the drill driver, but if this sort of tool roundup is speaking your language, sub up and stay tuned. Love to have you on board. Little size comparison, that pin nailer is not much bigger than my new drill, and I'll tell you what, this is the one tool that got me onto the Bosch line. You need one tool that draws you in, right? And for me, this was it. It's their 18-volt drill driver with hammer drill function. So it's important to know that that doesn't make it an impact driver. The hammer drive function is actually good for drilling masonry and brick, things like that. But it also has all the standard functions you'd expect from your main shop drill. It just goes about managing those a little bit different. Instead of always having the driving motion clutch, this one has a quick selector dial, so you can be in that hammer drilling mode, or if you just rotate it, you can be in the drilling mode. In that setting, you won't be clutched out at all. Or in the fastener mode, that's what will let you clutch out to prevent overdriving your fasteners. And just like a regular drill, you select that setting here. Of course, this one has a 2-speed gearbox like most high-end drills, and what I really appreciate is an all-metal chuck, and this one actually has a really good bite. All right, let's get into the high-tech stuff and what makes this drill pretty cool and better than your current drill. And this one actually has 3 features in the high-tech category that I think really make it stand out. The LED lights, there's 2 of them, one down here that's directed upward, and then another just at the base of the chuck. So I think that really helps because there's no shadow line, and regardless of where you're drilling, you're going to be able to see what you're doing. Another thing is this anti-kickback control. Now, this will be triggered automatically if it's sensed that it's being over-torqued, just to prevent you from being injured and prevent the tool from being damaged, but it's also selectable, so you can turn that on so you'll have anti-kickback at all times. And the third thing that these newest Bosch tools are coming with is a battery level indicator, so you can tell at a glance where you're situated. Turn that on or turn it right back off. Looks like it goes off automatically as well, so I kind of like that, just knowing where you stand with all your batteries. So this is the GSB 18V-65 if you want to check that one out a little further. But next we're going to look at 3 more cordless tools and 1 corded tool that's worth a mention. And then finally we'll get into that category that Bosch really hasn't gotten into yet. Yeah. So these are kind of my occasional use tools, and I don't even have enough batteries to run them all at the same time, but I tell you what, if you have 2 or 3 of these 18-volt batteries, you'll be good to go. Some of these are new releases as well. This is the 18-volt Ratchet with a 3/8 inch drive. This one has the direction change up at the head there, just kind of like a manual wrench would. LED light on that, and there's actually a 3-mode selector depending on the speed and output you need. So this is great for mechanic type work and just, you know, turning stubborn fasteners, so that's a good one. And for that ratcheting wrench, the model number is GRC 18V-60. And then the GTH 18V-50M is a 7/16 crown stapler, totally cordless, so that's great whether you're just knocking together some pallets or maybe hanging some hog wire fence in the backyard. Just unbelievably convenient to not have to drag around that cord as well as lug your compressor out. So I like that, but the secondary benefit for me is my standard pneumatic stapler actually uses 7/16 crown staples, so the fasteners are now interchangeable and I just love that. Just slide this button to the side to power it on, and you'll see that there's actually 2 different modes you can select from, single fire or bump fire. I think I'll put it on single fire, let's not get crazy. Dual LEDs come on when you depress the nose piece. Kachuga. Nice. And the last cordless tool we'll look at today is actually a sander. So I never thought that I would get into the world of cordless sanders, but surprisingly this thing is really handy. And this one's really not about the technical innovations that they've added, it's just the way that it feels in your hand, and it just seems to tame this rough white oak that I like to use better than other cordless sanders I've tried. Of course, variable speed on the side, so I'll run it through the range just so you can see how the motor sounds. Like other sanders, it uses a hook and loop pads, but I tell you what, this one is rectangular. So the kit actually comes with different attachments too, like a triangular mouse type sanding pad, as well as some other options. So it's just neat that you can get into inside corners, and that's helpful for me. I do some furniture refinishing, so something my round sanders just can't do. And with the other attachments it comes with, this one really has you covered for any application. This one, by the way, is the GSS 18V-40. Heck, I even like the little dust bag that it comes with. It looks like a threaded fitting, but actually it's just a press-on fitting, and so you can rotate that any position that's convenient for you. And when you pull that off, just unthread this fitting and it'll allow you to empty out the container. So that's pretty nice, and because this is cordless, I don't tend to use that with my dust extractor. It's just too handy to use it just with the bag. Next we'll look at a corded tool that I really like. It's the Reciprocating Saw. This one has 2 unique features, and then we'll finish up today with that missed opportunity for Bosch. So this one's a pretty sturdy reciprocating saw, great for construction and demo work, but it did have 2 standout features I noticed on this one. One, it has a rafter hook, and I don't usually see that on a reciprocating saw, so that's kind of cool, and I like the fact that it just tucks out of the way when you're not using it. But the main advantage for me was this blade chuck system, and this has kind of been a low point for me on other brands of reciprocating saws. This one has a really simple spring-loaded mechanism to retain the blades, and of all the different styles I've tried, this one is definitely my favorite. And then maybe just a missed opportunity here for Bosch in the 1/2-inch cordless router department. Milwaukee has a nice one. DeWalt's got a good plunge router now. Even Metabo has an entry. In fact, they were one of the first to develop that sort of a tool. So that's what I would really love to see from Bosch, is a 1/2-inch cordless router. Now I'm not sure whether my preference would be to have a fixed router, a plunge router, or maybe some sort of a combo kit. The Milwaukee went the route of a combo kit. The DeWalt is actually just purely a plunge router, and that's how the Metabo was as well, a plunge router. So I think maybe just a dedicated fixed router might be a great choice for Bosch, and with that, let's have a little unveiling. Psych, they don't have one. This is a nice MRC 23, but it is corded. I'd like to hear what your favorite cordless tool is, so pop that down in the comment section for me, and do consider subscribing to The Thoughtful Woodworker. I'd love to have you on board. And remember to check those links below if you need to do a little research yourself. Yeah.